Have you ever tried a travel hack only to end up somewhere you didn't even want to go? It happens more than you think. Today I'm going to show you why travel hacks are a lie and reveal my proven strategy to get you on the perfect holiday for less. Hey everyone, welcome back to Travel Adventures with Ian Melton. If you've ever been burned by a so-called travel hack, you're not alone. These hacks might save you a few quid on a random flight, but they often leave you travelling at odd times to places you didn't even want to visit. Today I'm going to break down why these hacks don't work and share my tried and trusted true methods on how to get a cheap holiday. And if you stick around till the end, I'm going to show you exactly how I booked a budget trip to Krakow, including flights, hotel and everything you need, the typical family break. So let's dive into why these so-called travel hacks just don't cut it. First of all, there's the inflexibility. Most travel hacks rely on you flying at very specific, inconvenient times purely on cheap, or picking completely random destinations. Sure, you'll get a cheap flight, but do you actually want to be there? Probably not. I always say they're great for going somewhere you didn't want to go when you didn't want to be there. Plus, there's hidden costs. That bargain flight you found often doesn't include baggage, transfers, or maybe even a decent seat. Suddenly that cheap fare isn't looking so cheap anymore, is it? Then there's also the lack of protection. Travel hacks encourage you to book flights and hotels separately, which may save you a bit up front, but if something goes wrong, like a cancellation, you could be left stranded with no one to help. And believe it or not, I sometimes find that booking as a package makes them a bit cheaper anyway. So wherever possible, I try to end up with 𝐵𝐷𝐃𝐒. And I'm going to tell you now, having that peace of mind of a proper holiday package is worth every penny. When I went to Tokyo last year with Book, I could have possibly shaved 300 or 400 quid off. I'm taking my kid to the holiday of a lifetime. I needed to be as sure as I could that something wasn't going to go wrong. But there's good news. You don't need travel hacks to score an amazing deal. In fact, I've got a much better way to plan your trip, and the best part, you get to pick your destination, you get to pick your ideal dates, and later on I'll show you how I use this strategy to book an incredible budget-friendly trip to Krakow, flights, hotel and all. Trust me, it's easier than you think. So why don't we talk through the basics? The basics are, I usually start with Google Flights. Yep, but I don't use it as a travel hack. You've got various options. Now the travel hack is to no dates, no time, go to the map. But let's face it, if you're watching this, you already know where you want to go. Well, I'm going to come up with, I fancy going to Athens in November, and I'm going to leave it fairly loose as to when I go, but I'm going to, well, let's get the elephant out the room. I usually fly from London, not because I live anywhere near the place, because it is the cheapest place probably in Europe to fly from. Now, you'll be sitting there up in Manchester saying, I'm not flying from bloody London. Well fine, don't fly from London, put Manchester in, but it will cost you more. Now for me, I actually live in Anglesey, I work in Shropshire during the week, Book lives in Birmingham during the week, and also in Anglesey. We live all over the place. So if I'm flying from Manchester, I've still got 2.5 to 3 hours to travel to an airport. It's only a couple of hours more to go from Luton. The other advantage of London is there are so many more flights a day. And if you really want to be stingy, if you put London into Google Maps, there are options whereby you can go from London Gatwick and come back to London Heathrow. It's not ideal, but it can save you a lot of money, especially on long haul. So for something that actually suits me, I've come up at 114 round trip. Now that also comes in with Wizz Air with separate tickets, which can be a bit of a pain in the arse. So I've worked out that flying out on the 22nd, coming back on the 24th, is one of the cheapest times to fly to Athens at a weekend. So I take that information over to Expedia, and to be honest, it says Luton. I'm just going to bang Luton in as an option in Expedia and see what it comes up with. And for Athens, it's coming up with hotels at round about the 50 quid mark for two. So for two people, I can get to Athens for 160. It's not bad, is it? I'm now going to bang that into Expedia and get it as a package, purely because I prefer the package. You've got 𝐵𝐷𝐃𝐒. They've booked the flights, it's all on them. And I know there's people out there saying that Expedia aren't the best. They're not. They can be crap. I've travelled 8 times with Expedia in the last 18 months and they haven't let me down once. However, you sometimes do the Google Flights thing and it will come up with British Airways, particularly on long haul. Well, if they're the cheapest, did you know that British Airways also sell packages? It's exactly what we did for Tokyo. The whole thing through British Airways. Let's face it, they've got a bit of a name. They're not premium. There are better, but they're not going to put them. They're not going to. Their choice of hotel isn't going to be a shithole, and you've always got the options to check the reviews. Right, so let's run through this. We're into Google Flights, and I'm putting in London, not because I'm saying you should fly from London. It's just usually where I choose to fly from because there's more choices, and entering Krakow. Now on this particular week I'm trying to do it around October half term because the wife's a teacher and my youngest is in college, which is normal school half term, so that is quite restricting, but you can see there already there's options coming up starting from £69. So unfortunately we haven't got that option. So you just keep tapping the dates and looking at the prices. Yeah, that's not cheap, but it's not bad. That's 200. Don't forget that's for two. And to make things more complicated, Suin has to be back by the 1st because that's her birthday and she wants to have it at home. Right, so you then go back to Google Flights with the two dates you found and then hit the search button. And it's coming up with Wizz Air from Luton. They're not bad flight times. You're going to get there fairly early on the first day, which gives you a good half a day there, before bedtime and settling down. And 2:34 it's coming in at, which isn't great, to be perfectly honest. I've had cheaper on this route, but that's still quite, it's 117 quid each for the flights. And I've flown Wizz Air before. It's not bad. So now we're going to go into Expedia and see what I can come up with as a package around those dates. Now the reason I go for a package is you're going to get your ABTA cover. Now bear in mind, if it had come up with one of the main airlines you might have gone through them. Sometimes EasyJet do a great deal. So I'm going to filter it down to Krakow Old Town because I know that's the best part of Krakow to stay in because we've been before. And there you go, there's options there from 145 each. I'm possibly not going to book this one because I've seen it cheaper. I'm recording this on Sunday night, which can be a little bit more expensive. So no hacks involved, but the concept is find out what the cheapest day is for your flight and then go from there to something like Expedia, Booking.com, whatever your preferred choice is, and make it happen. Now I sometimes go and research the hotels separately because you can sometimes get a better deal, but you are losing the ABTA cover. Really is that simple. So the last time I looked at this week for the trip, it kicked in at 108, which I thought was pretty damn good. So I'm not going to press the button this time. Now this is where your real tool comes in. A notebook and a pen. And you scribble down in there what deals you've had and see how much you like them. Now if you'd gone for a travel hack, you wouldn't have been able to pick the date you wanted to go. Now for me, half term's really important because of family commitments and you might not have got the airport. Now you can do different combinations of this, but it really is that easy. But the real key to finding your cheap holidays is to look regularly and to actually go with making notes. It's like I know off the top of my head I can get a weekend in Athens in November for around about 90 quid each. When I went to Bulgaria, that cost us 86. We're going to do some more of these. This is my first one to see if there is any interest in it. And thanks ever so much for watching and stay away from them travel hacks.